All right, Ken, we thank you and everybody for joining us for a Friday night edition of In the Sulky, and it is always our very special pleasure to welcome in the boss, the chairman and CEO of Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment. That is Mr. Jeff Gural. Jeff, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time here. A lot of people have been asking all of us a bunch of questions here. It's sure been a fascinating week for all of us here in New Jersey here after learning of the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision that was handed down on Monday morning. My first question to you is, what were your first thoughts when you heard about it?
Well, I probably felt like the guy who was on death row and being wheeled into the execution chamber, and his lawyer came running up and said, the Supreme Court just gave you a pardon. So that's how I felt. I mean, it really saved the day, to be honest with you, not only here, but at Tioga as well.
How many emails, phone calls, and texts did you get throughout the remainder of that day?
Quite a few.
Okay, what now has to be done to get the Meadowlands in particular in on the action? I read today that the legislature is going to tentatively schedule a vote for June 7th. Is that part of what has to happen? Give us a little clearer picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I read. I really haven't talked to anybody. But yeah, it looks like on June 7th they're going to vote on a bill that would set forth what the tax rates are, what the, how it works exactly, and then hopefully the Gaming Commission would set forth the rules and regs, and then I think, we would be, in theory, ready to go.
Okay, once we get that ruling, if it does take place on June 7th, let's just say the governor signs it either the next day or later that week, what is the plan for the Meadowlands at this time going forward?
Well, I have to find a partner, or probably two partners, because it looks like they're going to allow us to have two different platforms. They call them skins for some reason. So I would have to find two partners who would want to partner up and conduct sports betting here at the Meadowlands and online.
How does that process go about? I know here at the Meadowlands we're aligned with Betfair, Paddy Power, and TVG. They're all the same company here. Would they be the forerunners, or would you take bids, so to speak?
Yeah, we would take bids and make a decision on who we think is willing to pay us the most, and who is most qualified and would do the most business. Okay,
so that's the rules and regulations part that we have to get through first with the state of New Jersey and the legislature actually writing the law here. But the people out there who are the bettors, they want this question asked here: when do you think people will actually be able to drive here to the Big M and place a bet?
Well, we're shooting for right after Labor Day when the football season starts. So that would be our goal. And we have the problem, naturally, that on Sundays when there's a football game here, which is most Sundays, the traffic is terrible. So it really isn't a place where people are going to come. But we're, hopeful that we can talk to the football teams, and maybe we could work out something where we could shuttle customers in and out, and then customers who go to the game, when the game is over, can come over and watch the late games and bet on those. Because a lot of this is going to be in-game betting. It's not just win and loss. We all know that. You win $100. You lose $110. And there's a point spread, and there's teasers and three-team teasers. But what really is going to make it interesting is people will be able to sit and watch a TV and bet whether the next play is a run or a pass. If it's 4th and inches, they'll be able to bet. Do they make it? Don't they make it? If they're bringing in field goal kicker and it's the 40-yard line and the wind is in his face and the game is on the line, you can bet whether he's going to make it or miss it. So you'll be able to bet on just about everything. How many fumbles there'll be in a game? Is there going to be a safety? Is the kickoff going to be run back? You'll be bet on anything. Okay, so what you're telling me, that's a future negotiation that has to take place with our neighbors here, the Jets and the Giants here, that hopefully they would see amenable in our favor. Yeah, only on the Sundays that there's a football game. When there's not a football game, then people will be able to come here and bet all of those things. And Winners Bayonne, our OTB, would definitely be able to stay open as well. Well, Winners is be able to stay open. That's always been the case. We're not sure yet whether they're going to allow us to have sports betting at Winners. Okay. Hopefully they will. That's very important. All right. A lot of misinformation has been floated around through the news, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and everything else about the possible revenue that could be involved with this sports wagering going forward. Can you give us any kind of clear picture of what you think might be possible? I really don't know, but I mean, I find it interesting that people seriously think that I, as a horseman, would keep all the money and not try to share it with the horsemen. The problem that I see, to be honest with you, is that with the horse shortage, you're going to see the purses at Yonkers, Chester, Pocono go through the roof, because basically they have the same amount of money to race for every year, but they're going to have fewer and fewer races. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out if they have $250,000 from slots and they're racing 10 races, that's $25,000 a race. If they're racing 14, then that's $18,000 a race. So I think you'll see the purses. So I'm concerned that in order for me to be competitive and get people to race here, that I'm going to need, $10 million purse infusion from the state. And really, that's my focus. And that's what all the horsemen should be focused on, not what Jeff Gural is going to do. You can always count on me to do the right thing. Look, the only reason the place is open tonight is because I subsidize it. So it costs me about $3 million a year to keep this place open, and it's been that way for the last couple of years. I own 2 breeding farms, 60 mares, 42 yearling, 42 horses that are racing. I'm not interested in not seeing the horsemen do well, but the reality is for me to put in $1 million or $2 million, it's not going to help, because when Pocono and Chester and Yonkers and us are all racing at the same time, I need way more than $1 million or $2 million in order to be competitive with their purses.
All right, you gave us a couple of clues, and you were quoted as saying in some articles in the industry press the last few days about those negotiations with the state of New Jersey. You've had some key meetings. Can you give us a few more details than that?
I mean, I'm 76 years old. On Monday, I had to drive from Tioga 5.5 hours to the governor's house for an event so that I could speak to him. I gave him a detailed analysis of why we need that money. Tuesday morning, I had to wake up and drive up to Albany at 7 o'clock in the morning for a 10 o'clock meeting to try to explain why we needed the state of New York to honor the commitment to keep Vernon open. From there, I drove back down to New Jersey to meet with the Assembly Speaker to make the argument about what the problem was. The problem isn't sports betting or the revenues. The problem is no one can have a racetrack if they don't have horses to race. And it doesn't take a genius. To give you an idea, last weekend we had 140 horses race, and we need 240 horses in order to make 10 horse races. So I was down 100 horses. I had 100 fewer horses than I really need, and I would predict that next year I'll be down another 40 horses. We had 40 fewer horses in the box last weekend on Tuesday when Pete opened the box than the same weekend the year before. If I've got 40 fewer horses next year on this weekend, we won't be able to race. So it's got nothing to do with what I'm planning to do with the money. Obviously, I've lost about $10 million personally over the last 3 years. I'd like to get my money back. I've overpaid the purses by about $3 million. I'd like to get my money back, but I'm certainly going to chip in and put some money into the purse account. Most likely I'll just write off the $3 million that I'm owed. So that would actually increase the purses by about $1 million beginning in July. If I can make a good deal, which I think I will. Everybody wants to be my partner. We have the best location of anybody in New Jersey as far as the physically coming here. New York's not going to have any casino game, any sports betting, and because it's all going to be at the 4 upstate casinos. So it is what it is.
All right, I want to end this on a positive note here. Do we have reason to be optimistic about a little bit of a resurgence of harness racing here in New Jersey if this plays out the way we all think it could in a positive way?
I think if we can get that $30 million, there'll be a huge resurgence. The Meadowlands will be just like it was, 10, 15 years ago. So I'm doing everything I can do. There's nothing left for me to do as far as being criticized for saying I'm taking all the money. That's ridiculous. I mean, I did say it, but anyone who knows me and knows how much I love the game should have not taken that as a serious statement. But you know, I got a lot of critics out there who like to criticize me.
That's okay, Jeff. One of us, and all of us who recognize your love for the game and have known you as long as some of us have, we recognize your role and how critical it has been to keep the Meadowlands afloat. And hopefully we will have that resurgence, and maybe sports betting and wagering here at the Meadowlands can certainly be part of it. Jeff, thanks.
So, root for my horses at Vernon tonight. I have 3 horses in the Empire Breeders' Classic.
Well, we'll be showing them.
So we'll be showing those races. Yeah. So look for the Little E in the owners thing, and hopefully I'll get those horses into the final.
All right, Jeff. Thanks so much for joining us again. I'm sure we will have you back on as this plays out through the New Jersey State Legislature. Sports wagering, the future of harness racing here in New Jersey, particularly at the Meadowlands, is at stake. Folks, time for a timeout here. When we come back, Bob Hayden will take his place in the chair. We'll take a look at our feature races tonight and give out our weekly awards.